Right, so I'm back with another episode of Top 5 Mods, a weekly series where I look at modifications and also mods. So you might notice that something is a tad bit different this week, just ever so slightly different. Well, I went to the creepy wasteland surgeon with that magnificent mustache I acquired last week, and there was a slight misunderstanding about which part to trim off. And anyways, big news in the Fallout world today actually. Bethesda announced on their website that the PS4 modding is discontinued until further notice. As for who's to blame, Bethesda is pointing the fingers towards Sony, stating that Sony does not approve user mods the way they should work. So overall, not a good time to be a PS4 user right now, if you like mods. Nevertheless, the quest for mods must continue, so let's get started. So Preston is still not on speaking terms with me. He was just not a big fan of me migrating those colorfully clad people to Abernathy Farm, and he's decided to just cancel our friendship until further notice. Kind of like Sony. But for those who wish to preserve their friendship with Preston, I honestly don't know why you would want to do that. Things have never been more peaceful and quiet around here for me. But we've got Nuka World skip raiding your own settlements at number 5. So this mod is pretty self-explanatory, but for those who still have not figured it out, it allows you to skip setting up a raider outpost in the Nuka World questline, thus keeping Preston's hopes and dreams intact and preserving your flourishing friendship. I mean, to my knowledge, a friendship is all about giving and taking, and the only thing that he gives you is more settlements to defend. Anyways, when you're on the Home Sweet Home quest and you're asked to talk to Shank, you simply tell him you don't want to hurt anyone and he'll tell you that you're no fun. Which is probably true. Anyways, this skips to the final and last quest of the Nuka World DLC and allows you to keep the Commonwealth free of Nuka World raiders. Then I saw Mason pulling off a disappearing act, which was pretty interesting. Anyway, since I've been having a hard time tracking down this creepy wasteland surgeon, I figured I may as well just get comfortable for the time being. So number 4, we've got Steampunk Gunslinger outfit -vanilla -CBBE. So this is a pretty sleek looking steampunk outfit. To acquire this outfit, you don't have to do any weird things like squirting Preston in the face with a water gun. You simply craft it at a chemistry station. I guess not all things in life have to be difficult. Now you might be wondering how exactly this is steampunk. Well, it's got a gear pattern on the top, so that makes it steampunk by default. But it's a really nice looking dark outfit. It's got black denim, oversized buckles, you've got a collection of throwing knives on your left hip. It's also got belt pouches. The cleavage isn't completely over the top like most of the female outfits I ignore on the Nexus, and most importantly, it's got crisp boot textures. I mean, look at the stark contrast between the floor and the boots. The floor is just a big smudge, while the boots have a very nice high detail texture, just the way I like it. Anyways, if you think the standard outfit is a tad bit too cold for this snow-covered mountain, there's also a version with a jacket. Not a very thick jacket, it's also open and it has very short, rolled up sleeves. So it's mainly there for style, I guess, but it should help a bit. We also get a very warm scarf. Anyway, speaking of shiny new textures, I wasn't entirely satisfied with the finish on my workbenches. It looked like they got a layer of about 200 years of erosion and corrosion on them. So I got my slightly below minimum wage workers out and had them scrub extra hard. And it's worked wonders. So this mod makes the textures on all the workbenches look pristine. The wooden weapons workbench gets a new layer of wood, the blue one gets a new look of paint, and all the metal surfaces now look super shiny. So shiny it blinds you. The armor workbench gets the same treatment, shiny new metal, a new barrel, and a sewing machine that is no longer held together by duct tape. The chemistry station gets a cleaning too, the thick layer of rust has been removed on the metal variant, and the wooden one gets a new piece of wood. The hoses now get some fancy new bright colors, and the flasks have been polished too. The flaking metal sides have been replaced by pristine black ribbed something. I don't actually know what that's supposed to be, but it's pretty trippy though. And finally, the cooking stations and the stove get a makeover too. You can now have a more hygienic cooking environment. Although the stove still looks like it could fall apart at any moment. Which reminds me, I kind of completely forgot about my little butcher shop in Sanctuary. I sort of got sidetracked with that whole theme park thing. Then we had that Preston breakup, which also took up some of my time. I really just totally forgot about this butcher shop. The meat is probably rotten at this point. Man, I need to find a new source of income here. My funds are depleting rapidly. Anyhow, overall this mod is pretty cool, although some of the pristine textures look a bit flat and some of the colors are so bright they burn out my cornea. But this is for those that enjoy a cleaner and more refined lifestyle, I guess. So if you're building a pristine, neat settlement, then this might be something for you. There's also a worn out variant with a tiny layer of dirt on it for those who still need some time to acclimatize. Anyways, this week we also got some bonus mods. Now what is this? A bonus mat before the actual top 5 is done? Man, this wiki is just totally unorthodox. But we are prepping up for something big, so we need some proper protection here. So what better than old-fashioned plate mail power armor that they wore back in the Middle Ages? Yeah, I never said I studied history. So to get your hands on this knight armor, you first need to go to Nahan Chapel, northeast of Boston Airstrip. Just ignore the active war that's going on outside the house, or participate. It's really up to you. But once that's done and over with, you make your way up to the chapel, go inside and go upstairs. There you'll find a crate with the armor as well as a mace. So this is some pretty interesting looking armor made by M, the same Japanese guy that pretty much made all of the weird mods I've showcased so far. It's got a white basis, some beautiful golden engravings, a layer of rust on the edges, and most importantly, heavy crotch protection. There's also 3 different helmets, a rounded one, a square one, and an extra special long variant. And if you don't think you look like enough of a retard yet, you can also attach some metal angel wings so you can fly, just like they did in the olden days. It looks pretty uncomfortable to walk around with, but they do allow you to fly. I then decided to try out my new mace on some soda dispensers that just happened to walk by. I mean, I could live with them if it wasn't for the fact that they are so extremely goddamn loud with that TV on top. The mace seemed to fare pretty well though, and the armor definitely protected me from the explosive Nuka-Cola. But going in with a mace is just a tad bit too blunt for me. But I still need a fitting weapon to go with my new KnightPowerArmor. So instead we'll go with the HellSword. Yes, not 1 but 2 bonus mods before the actual top 5 is done. This week is pretty radical. Anyways, to get your hands on this thing, you simply go to the statue just south of Sanctuary, drop in right next to it, knock it over and pick it up. So it's imported straight from this other dimension we've been getting a few things from lately. It's sharp, it's shiny, it's pointy, it's got beautiful engravings with weird skinny people on top, and overall it's just pretty cool. It definitely aided me taking out these walk-in soda machines that took over my bridge for some reason. But I like things with a bit of reach, so these melee weapons are just not going to do. Instead we'll go for an actual weapon. We'll go with the Arc Welder at number 2. So acquiring this weapon does require a bit of work. First you'll have to go to Sanctuary and hit Preston in the face exactly 10 times with the paddle ball. You have to make sure it's exactly 10 times. Now he'll get angry at you and start shooting you, but once you've hit him exactly, just gotta reiterate here, it's gotta be exactly 10 times. But you then simply reload by flipping the thing around and you put it away. He'll still be angry at you though, he's got anger management issues, but you simply flip him off and you fly away. Then you need to go to Nuka World and put about 10 cubic meters of solid gold in the wishing pond. Give or take a few, it really doesn't have to be that exact. You just gotta shower the place. But yeah, my funds are depleting rather rapidly at this rate. But then, and only then, will there be about a 2% probability of the Arc Welder spawning in Sean's crib. If you were one of the lucky few, you simply walk over and pick it up. So this thing really does not look particularly exciting. It's circular, it's got some bolts and a blue thing up front, but nothing mesmerizing. But we all know it's not about looks, it's about raw performance, and this thing is running on some high voltage. It shoots out a bunch of arcs in front of you, shocking pretty much anything that you point this thing at. It kinda reminds me of the old Tesla gun from Return to Castle Wolfenstein. But if for some reason you're not satisfied yet, you can also attach a slow barrel and reduce the fire rate. Or you can add a fusion core, which will give it a tad bit more shock. Unfortunately, you can't replace the literal non-existing sights. But it was definitely good enough to take out the remaining failed Mama Murphy clones that were still wandering about in Sanctuary. But then suddenly the place was overrun by walk-in soda machines. They were in an open revolt. I honestly don't know why everybody is so interested in Sanctuary. The place is literally a shithole, but there were literally dozens of walking TV robots in Sanctuary. They were even pouring in from the sky. So I fought long, intense and hard. Shit was blowing up left, right and center, explosive Nuka-Cola, my grenades, the robots blowing up. It was a very harsh battle, but my frame rate was just too low, so I had to retreat. The beacon of Preston's settlement project has been taken over by walking soda machines. Maybe I'll deal with that mess one day, but not today. But since we got out in the nick of time and we're still geared up, we can tackle something else. So what better than a quest made by Nvidia? So number 1 this week we've got Vault 1080 by Nvidia. So yes, Nvidia decided to enter the Fallout modding scene and advertise their new graphics card at the same time. A step of brilliancy. A graphics card, by the way, which I totally would not mind getting for free. Nvidia, if you're listening here. But yeah, this is a quest mod that follows the story of Vault 1080. It adds in the Church of the Valley quest to your to-do list, and this has you going just southwest of Vault 111. You arrive at a little shack and you'll find a note inside the mailbox. You then have to dig through your 500 emails and read Dr. Morgan's note, which doesn't really tell you all that much, but because you took so long to read it, it became really dark and foggy. You then enter into the marsh and take out the bloatfly hit squad that's waiting out front for you. Then you'll find a very creepy church, so simply walk up to the front door and morph straight through it like a ghost. Then reload the universe and actually go inside. Inside the church you'll look around for clues, so walk around for a bit and you'll find a giant hole on the inside. So jump straight down this hole, break your shins, and walk up to the giant vault door. You then enter into Vault 1080. Go up to the Overseer's office, shock the rat roaches, and find out that the Arc Welder is actually a pretty good flashlight, which is definitely handy because this place is dark as shit. But continue going through the vault, electrocuting ghouls and rat roaches, and admire the lighting, because there's a ton of it. A metric shit ton. Nvidia definitely went just a tiny bit overboard and crammed the light bulbs just anywhere they could get a nice shadow from. So it definitely looks good, but it also slams the brake on your frame rate, which, you know, I wouldn't be complaining about as much if I had a 1080 Nvidia, if you're still listening. Anyways, keep reading terminal messages and you'll slowly piece together that the wackos that were living here not only loved light bulbs, but they were also actively trying to transform their people into ghouls. Then make your way further down and face off against a sentry bot. Once you've emerged victorious, you can walk through the flaming wreckage and continue on. Then you'll have an intense one-on-one fight with the Overseer, who definitely ate just a tiny bit too much green pudding. Read the terminal and you can finally get out of this godforsaken place. So overall, a pretty cool dungeon quest mod. The lighting definitely looks fancy. It's like an interactive tech demo. So we're gonna have to see what AMD's comeback here is. But anyways, that was it for this week's mods. Yet again, as always, some very solid mods in there. Will Preston ever forgive me? Is he allergic to paddle balls? Will I take back Sanctuary? And will Nvidia give me a free 1080? Find out potentially next week, so until then. So yeah, you know, we have some relatively exciting stuff happening. You know, uni started back up again, the stress levels have become just a tiny bit higher because there's a bunch of shit I gotta do. I got this industrial design marketing class because that's part of the minors, so now I gotta do marketing. Now, it's not really my thing, I'm more of like a science guy actually, because I study engineering. You know, I prefer the science classes, the physics and the mathematics. That marketing stuff, well, you know, I'm great at marketing, but it's really just not my thing. But anyways, exciting times still. I got like a controller from this company, a custom BRT gaming controller. Just got sent that. They kind of want me to do a video on it though, which I gotta get to at some point, but I just don't have a lot of time, but I will get to that. We're gonna make it into a special controller video. And also, maybe potentially I'll get flown out to California by 2K Studios to do like a pre-release marketing thing for Mafia 3 there. I honestly don't know why, but I've been getting emails and it seems like it might be the real deal. So that would be pretty cool though. It's kind of tight in my scheduling though, but you know, if I get a chance to get flown out to California for free, I'll take it. But if that does go through, I'll probably try and record as much as I can with my GoPro and my phone, and I'll get to record some gameplay as well, so there'll be some videos about that, but that does mean I'll probably have to skip out on one of these top my videos, because I will have to play some catch up with my coursework as well. Man, we'll see, I guess, but you know, exciting times to live in, I suppose. But yeah, that was about everything I had to ramble on about, so that was kind of quick. I might make a separate video going more in depth about a few things. I just gotta see whether or not this actually goes through, and yeah, maybe see you again next week. Or we'll not see you again next week. I'm not entirely sure at this point, that's the thing, so yeah. Until some point in the future.